Thanks everybody for joining us for Trail Tuesday Live. Again, we are with Joe Walewski of Wolf Ridge Environmental Learning Center. He is at High Falls on the Baptism River in Tetagooch State Park, and he's going to teach us a little bit about watersheds and geology and plants that grow in these amazing environments. Spring is a great time to study waterfalls. The water is at its maximum, and so there's a lot to be seen and a lot to say. And taking note that this live event is happening ahead of our 2021 Gathering Partners Conference, where we are having all kinds of fun featuring Minnesota's North Shore area. Our whole conference will feature that region, and so leading up to the conference, we're doing these fun connections. I do want to take a minute and acknowledge the difficult situation our society is in right now. It's a recent fatal shooting on Sunday in Brooklyn Center of Daunte Wright, and just acknowledge that it seems a little weird to go on with regular life when such a painful event is happening. We know so many people are feeling fear and anxiety and anger in our communities, and rightly so. So I just want to acknowledge that we all recognize that we play a role in building an equitable, safe, and welcoming community. And that extends in our everyday lives, and it extends in our naturalist lives as well. And so as much as we can do to welcome all Minnesotans to these nature events and nature places, we certainly aim to do that. So we considered canceling this event in light of these circumstances, but we did decide to proceed. But we hope you'll all join us in acknowledging the difficulty of the moment. So thank you for that. And maybe what we can do then is go ahead and have Joe introduce where you are and what you're seeing and what you know.
Andrea, thank you for making this possible, and thank you so much for attending to the events as well and bringing that up. I think about my intention with meeting you here today at the waterfalls, how we came up with this maybe a month or more ago, and I thought, you know, this would be a great place to sort of address geology and ecology, but then also just our emotions, right? Little did I think that the emotions of today would include what's happened recently, right? So I just think about reasons that I go to a waterfall are to recenter myself, to just sort of meditate. And I'm not a meditating sort of person, but waterfalls and campfires pull that out of me. I think it's worth just taking a moment before we launch in to just take it in a little bit. And that I got the waterfall back here, I'm going to be quiet for just a little bit and let you look at it and think your own thoughts for a moment. Sure, we could take more time. So before we kind of launch into this, today has been kind of a crazy day in a lot of respects, weather-wise. I've gotten snow squalls and blinding sun, not just twice, but at least a dozen times, alternating. And it's just, right now it's snowing. I don't know that you can tell that it's snowing a little bit right now. Last night, I was at the Wolf Ridge farm, messing around with a couple different things, and I walked out of one of the buildings there at the farm, and I heard frogs off in the distance, and that just really shocked me. I'm not used to hearing frogs at this time of year. In fact, this morning, I ran out to look at Wolf Lake, one of the lakes on Wolf Ridge property, and it's completely open. Last year, it was completely open on May 2nd. So the frogs, the plants, everything is taking advantage of this early spring. I wonder if it's going to stay that way. I certainly don't know the forecast, but it's just surprising how early it is right now. As I was walking down here as well, I think I heard a winter wren, and I can't even try to pretend to make a winter wren sound for anybody. But if you have ever heard of one, or if you can just play it for yourself at some point, a winter wren is very much, for me, a summer bird. That was interesting. Yesterday, I was out teaching a class on animal signs on this, and a kingfisher went flying by. And that's a sign of spring as well, kingfisher. That was really exciting. We've got beavers swimming around already. That was really fun. Ducks of all different sorts. Things are really happening. I've got somebody who's going to come down here and enjoy the scene here just a little bit. But I'm here at Teddy State Park, and so clearly it's public land. Lots of people are going to wander around. Hi there. It's going great. It's going great. So I'm doing a class here. You're welcome to join in.
I'm not going to stick around long. There's a long ways to go.
Wow.
Oh, really? Yesterday.
It is. It is.
Yesterday's drifting like a foot higher.
Yeah, yeah. And even just a week ago or so, it was just like a trickle compared to right now.
I know. See kayakers come over?
I'm sorry?
See kayakers come
No,
over
no
yet?
kayakers yet.
I don't think I would do it.
Are you hiking on the Spirit Hiking Trail?
No, I'm just doing a loop.
Very nice.
I'm local. How about you?
I'm local as well.
What's
I
your
work at Wolf Ridge. My name's Joe.
Joe.
Hi there.
Yeah, I know you. What's your last name, Joe?
Walewski.
Walewski, that's it. Roger Hickle.
Oh, hi. Hey, do you mind if we just talk for... I'm kidding.
Oh, you're FaceTime.
I really am.
Hi.
Hi, you're being broadcast across the state. We've got 12 people watching on Facebook and another 12 here in Zoom.
Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent. So anyway, where was I? I was talking about just the variety of things here, the fact that it's spring. And this waterfall is just crazy. Over the past couple of days, I think we've gotten a little bit over an inch of rain. And so it just totally exploded, right? And even a couple of days ago, as I came down here after the previous rain, I thought it was really big. And today it's even bigger. So before we even met, I said, Andrea, I'm going to walk down here along the shoreline to see if I fall in, because there used to be a really big shoreline here, and now it's completely covered. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to share a little bit about the ecology of rivers and especially waterfalls. I want to share a little bit about the geology of it, and then of course just our emotions connected to it, right? And so we started off that way.
Forget about the danger.
Yeah, there's no danger at all. Roger, good to see you. Yeah. So, how fun, how fun. I don't know who else might come down here. But the geology. Now, Andrea, I know that some of the things that I had sent to you, I sent through my blog, and I wonder if you have any of those maps, those geology maps.
I
wanted
can
to
share.
address a little bit of that. So, Andrea, as
Okay.
you're getting that, I just will let
For
everybody
those
know.
on the Zoom meeting, I can share my screen, but the people on Facebook will not see them. So, you
Really?
know, but people on Zoom can see. We've got the East Branch of the Baptism River, or the watershed, the full watershed, part 1 on my screen right now. Oh no, looks like Facebook is seeing it. Great.
Oh, good. That's cool. See, I didn't know that we might run into that. But anyway, there's the watershed for the Baptism River. And that space right there is just the Baptism River proper. But it's not counting the East Branch, the West Branch, and Hockaman Creek. And each of those watersheds feed into this one. And those are some of the images below. So that's the main one. And then that right up there was the That's the East Branch right there, pretty big. And then the West Branch, equally big, goes up into Isabella. And then Hockaman Creek, which is just pure magic. If you ever have a chance to go down Hockaman Creek, it's pure magic. Oh, and by the way, I know that this is a secret. I can tell you this in confidence. There are some really great agates in Hockaman Creek if you want to look for big agates. Don't tell anybody else. But anyway, so we got those watersheds filling this in. And this is the geology one that I wanted to point out. And right where your little hand is marked right there, there's that little space right there that I selected. And that is right where I am. I'm right where that little point is. That's where the waterfall is. And the reason that I selected this particular map is that this is a bedrock geology map of the region. As I was reading the past couple days about geology in Tetagush State Park, they were saying that the geology in this park in particular is so complex that they couldn't make a single map to be able to capture it. And this is one of those single maps. So realize that it's just basic compared to what there really is going on here. But that little space right there, if you can read the box to the right, which is pretty small, I realize, but that little box to the right, it says that we're standing here on Palisade Head Rhyolite. Okay, so the type of rock is rhyolite. It's that reddish rock. And Palisade Head, oh my goodness, that is the same rock that Palisade Head as well as Shovel Point is made of. And that all of this rock right here, it was formed when about 1.1 billion years ago, as we were having this mid-continental rift. This is all important to understand why the waterfalls are here and not someplace else. Because Palisade Head Rhyolite comes out, and when it came out, it was this sticky, oozy stuff, and it didn't want to flatten out like a pancake, you know? It wanted to stay together in a big glob, and then it cooled really, really fast in that big glob. Plus, it's really resistant, pretty hard. And so as the glaciers came through, it didn't erode that kind of rock as fast as it did the other rock. And so this rock remains as the high points. Shovel Point is a high point, about 150 feet cliff at the highest point, all the way to the water. Palisade Head is about 180 feet from the highest point all the way down to the water. And so clearly, we've got this right here, which is the exact same rock, Palisade Head Rhyolite, that's holding this up. That's why this is a waterfall. That right next to it is a different kind of rock that erodes faster. That's it. If you have rocks that are going to erode away faster, you're going to end up getting a waterfall. I wanted to make sure to show that to you. And all of these maps are from the Minnesota Atlas for, I can't remember it. I can't read it as well. Can you read the top there?
Minnesota Natural Resource Atlas.
Thank you. And it's an amazing atlas, and it's free. You can go to it. It's essentially a GIS system for people like us who don't have GIS programs. And so you can layer all kinds of different things. If you wanted to layer the roads, if you wanted to layer bird habitat, if you wanted to layer a variety of things, it's pretty amazing to be able to connect that and be able to see all those maps. So I encourage folks to be able to do that. But that water.
So I had put it in the Zoom chat. That's why I stopped sharing the link to those maps on your blog, Joe. I'm also entering Minnesota Natural Resource Atlas. Hopefully people are able to just Google that and find those maps that they can play with. But the instruction to play with the different layers is pretty fun. So hopefully people will have a chance to do that.
Thank you so much. Excellent. But that geology is important, that helped to create where this waterfall is. And one of the things that I've noticed about North Shore rivers is that in some respects, they're a little backwards compared to the classic river. Oftentimes, rivers start from little rivulets that are in rocky terrain, and they may form little waterfalls and drip along, and then they're going along. Eventually, all those meet, and then it turns into a big, wide river that's slow and meandering. The Baptism River, if you've had a chance to explore it, way up at the beginning, it's slow and meandering, going through wetlands, going through some boggy areas. And so it's very slow and meandering there. And then eventually it hits this area here, and it goes just super fast, and it's rocky all the way down to the lakeshore. So it's like reverse. And so by the time it gets all of that water in it, it's forming these waterfalls as well, which are pretty amazing. And so the reason why I wanted to tell you that is because one of the things that we notice on North Shore rivers especially there's all of this white foam here, which is pretty amazing. And there have been times, especially in winter, as the foam just stays in one spot, it can't leave and get washed away, that the foam can be several feet tall, a big pile of that foam. And that I've been digging around trying to find a site that'll verify what I'm going to tell you. But this is my memory when I was teaching down along the Georgia coast. When we were teaching down there, the foam that forms on the beaches, right where the wave action is, we were taught that that's called proteinaceous foam. Proteinaceous foam. And that we were taught down there that what was happening is that plant and animal proteins in the water were constantly being smashed by the waves, churned, sort of like the whites of an egg that make meringue, and that you get that foam or the meringue, right? And it could be plant proteins or animal proteins. I'm sure it's more complex. I'm sure it's more than just the proteins. But that essentially is what this is that all the animal and plant proteins that are getting churned by the waterfall right over there and then flowing away. And I know that down on the ocean that there were birds that really focused in on eating some of that. I'm sure that there must be a lot of different animals that focus on that along the river as well. I haven't been able to find anything to learn about that, but I'm going to keep searching. It's amazing just the not the steam, but just the spray that's coming out of here as well. That at times I look at the phone here and I see water all over it. I hope that you can still see things clear. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Wow. That's a lot of mist that must change the growing environment for the plants in the vicinity of the waterfall if it's so humid. I think about the redwoods on the Pacific coast, and that they get such a high percentage of their annual moisture from the mist, from the fog. And so I wonder if this mist, although this mist must fluctuate a lot over the course of the year, it's not always this powerful.
You know, that's amazing. It does fluctuate a lot. And so there are certain plants that can focus on it, especially some of the lichens along the cliffs, that they can be on these places where it may be super hot and seem like there isn't much moisture, even an overhang where it's not going to be getting rain directly on it. But because of the mist, it constantly stays moist. And so there are certain lichens that will be able to thrive here that wouldn't otherwise be able to thrive in other places. That's really cool that you're talking about the redwoods, because I do know that lichens do that. There are certain algae, terrestrial algae. I oftentimes think of algae as being in a pond, and so that's sort of like a pond scum, right? But there are algae that will grow along the edges of the cliffs. And this is one thing that I wanted to be able to go and walk and check with you, but I'm not going to risk my life to go see it today with you.
Don't do that.
But along the edge down there, that I know that there are those orange terrestrial algae. And what I'll do is I'll include some pictures, not from today, but other pictures I've taken in my blog for today so that I can capture that, because those are amazing. And as you see those, the first times that I saw them, I had no idea what they were. Trentipolia is the genera of the species of that group of algae. And that it'll grow along these moist areas like this. And even in small, tiny little streams that we have around here, if it's a rock canyon and there's a lot of shade and there's just enough water dripping year round so that it sort of keeps a little moisture, that algae can just coat all the walls. And one of the pictures that I'm thinking of right now is the orange one that's growing down on the shore of Lake Superior near some Wolf Ridge property that we purchased a few years ago. There's this little creek called Dragon Creek. What a great name, huh? And in Dragon Creek, there's this little grotto of a like cliffs and such. It's just gorgeous, but there's orange all around it, and it's pretty cool.
Wow, that sounds really neat. But that explains why some of these cliff faces are slippery, which you wouldn't think.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there's a variety of other things that are growing on some of those faces as well. I think about different bacterias that are growing all over the place. Whenever I notice that a tree trunk is really, really dark black and other trees of the same species around it aren't, or whenever I notice a spot where there's a long stretch of black that is on rock, it's like a little slope and there's this long stretch, then I've keyed into that and learned that that's a species of bacteria, just a terrestrial bacteria that's grown in the soils and growing all around us all the time. And that bacteria is growing there because there's some sort of moisture that's there on a regular enough basis that it can thrive. And so those trees, who knows why it's a little bit moist there. Definitely on those little seeps along Lake Superior Rocky shoreline where I see those black stripes, that's that bacteria growing there as well, just being able to survive. Oh, I should tell you also that there's sometimes where yellow-bellied sapsuckers have drilled holes. If you go to those in the spring, you give it enough time and you check on that, you'll see that sap will have oozed out of there. And right where that sap is, not only is it moist, but there's also nutrients in there, and bacteria and or algae will be growing in that. Also, where a beaver has chewed down a tree recently, and the tree is still pulling moisture up through its roots up to that spot where the beaver chewed, it'll be really moist. And sometimes it'll be an orange or even a black color. Orange is that terrestrial algae, Trentipolia, and black is going to be bacteria. So there you go. Who would have thunk it, huh?
So I used to think that these plants that can thrive in these really disturbed situations, these difficult, I used to think of them as junk species, but I'm starting to think maybe they're actually superheroes.
I think they are superheroes.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's snowing again here.
Oh my gosh. More ammunition for the waterfall, huh?
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. So another thing that I've got in my blog as well, and I've been doing on Facebook recently, is I've been taking 360 pictures, right? So all the way around. And this is the camera that I use. This is a little GoPro camera, a GoPro Max that I use. I wish I made a penny off of every time I've told somebody about it, but I'm not making this. But anyway, this camera is able to take an image. It takes an image through this camera and then an image through this camera, and it stitches it together so that you have a sphere, a 360-degree sphere. And that I've done that with some of the waterfalls a little while ago. Later, after we're done, I'm going to wander up to the top up there and take another 360 of it to capture that, and I'll put that on the link. But
Nice.
I have other 360 images of some of the other waterfalls, like the Beaver River waterfalls. I've got some of a variety of waterfalls. I'm trying to remember which ones I went to, but over the past few weeks, I've been capturing them.
GoPro, take a picture. Do yours have audio command?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you can say.
I wanted to take a picture for you right now. GoPro, take a picture.
Hey, stop telling it to take pictures.
You could tell my, Googler to order Fruit Loops or something. Just
Exactly.
anyway. Okay, so I want to invite people who are on Facebook. I see a couple comments are coming in here. Did you did you use the GoPro Fusion before the release of the GoPro Max? If so, what are your thoughts on how the two compare? Okay.
I didn't. I had the GoPro like Hero 4 or something like that. It was very different. And then with the pandemic, I thought we need to do something cool for Wolf Ridge. And then I started researching and I found this 360 camera and I just flipped out. And I've been using this a lot for a lot of different education purposes, but I didn't use a different GoPro before this. So I don't have that information. But since I got you, and I can keep babbling here a little bit, one of the things that I've done is played with that Thing Link. I think you and I talked about that Thing Link. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And so I've created what I'm calling digital dioramas. And so if you imagine going to the Bell Museum to a diorama and you get to stand and look at it, well, with the digital dioramas, you as the user can go into it and you can zoom around and then click on little links to be able to look at things closer. Oh, blows my mind. Oh, so that's what I've been using this for, but it's really fun.
That's pretty cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Was there another question or comment?
Okay, so I'm checking on Facebook. And so anybody on Facebook, feel free to add a comment and we'll try to See that? Amy is monitoring the Facebook pretty closely. The answer is that sounds pretty fun. Good. And then also, if you're in the Zoom meeting, I certainly encourage you to post something in the chat. And we'll forward that question to Joe. He is able to talk about anything that you can even imagine. So GoPro cameras included, geology, plants, all of it. So
And one of the things, while we're sort of pausing here a little bit, we're not necessarily pausing, but I know that our next meeting that we're going to focus on geology. And so I've purposefully kept some of that geology stuff secret. I didn't go into it too much, but I'm just putting it out there, a little teaser that the next time that we meet a month from now, I'm going to be out on Palisade Head, and then we're going to be looking at maps and pointing things out, and we'll be going around and we'll look at some lichens up close. I don't have to worry about waterfalls there. So, but yeah, that's going to be super fun. We'll be able to pull that in there, and we'll play with that Minnesota Atlas a little bit more as well, which should be really good.
fun. Okay, so that's May 11th, everyone. So
May
we're
11th.
maybe moving that around during the times of day. And so that, you know, in case somebody's not available at 1 o'clock, we'll offer something in the morning, and we'll even do one, or maybe we'll do late geology in the after. We got to talk about that. But the point is, we're going to move it around the schedule, because the June event is another specialty of Joe's, moths. We're going to meet first thing in the morning and see all the moths he was collecting, I think on the back of your garage, isn't it?
Hey, you're supposed to tell the back of the garage. That sounds really sketchy.
The back alley, because the back alley's up north there. Anyway, good. So May 11th, June 8th, mark them down. We'll be doing these Trail Tuesdays live, again, ahead of the Gathering Partners Conference to get everybody interested. Oh, wait, that one in June is after. Oh, we're going to have so much fun. We might keep doing these. Yes, so we have a couple comments in the Zoom meeting. One is about getting the maps in advance. And so I'll work a little harder at making sure those links are included in the Facebook event so that you can look and play with those ahead of time. That sounds great. And then so another person is appreciating your enthusiasm for these topics, because that makes it so much fun.
Thank you.
Okay, so one question here from Facebook. Are the black rings I have been seeing on trees the bacteria you were talking about?
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed that. Go over
Yep.
it again.
A question, are the black rings I have been seeing on trees the bacteria you were talking about? Now, black rings kind of depends on the character of those rings, where they are.
Yeah, and so if they're below where there was maybe a wound on the tree, either because of a woodpecker, you know, like the yellow-bellied sapsuckers or something like that, it's possible that that's it. But I'm not thinking about necessarily a ring in that sense. I'm thinking about really the trunk, like for several feet down. And
In streaks,
what?
you mean, down where the dribbles of the sap might be?
Guess what? We're going to stop. I'm going to show you. There's a tree right there. So we're going to end up
Crazy
walking.
times.
Let's see if I can turn this around.
We
So
see it. Yeah.
Do you see the aspen tree right there?
Yes, we do.
And do you see all that black part that's along there?
Is that not just, you know, random blackness?
That's actually the bacteria. And it's really common, especially on aspen trees, to have that. I suspect because of the freeze thaw, and there may be wounds in it and it just sort of leaks out, or maybe the bark is able to absorb some of the moisture a little bit better. Whatever the case is that it's pretty common to see on that. And that as you're going along in the woods, you'll see it not only on those types of trees, but especially those, because they have that white background. It's much easier to see. When I was describing it at first and thinking about it, I've been thinking about it on maple trees, because I've been seeing a few recently as I've been focused on maple syruping that have some of the bacteria on it. But yeah, it's right there. It's all over the place. It's growing in the soil, growing all over the place.
So it looked like it was a wide stripe down the tree, as if that was the side where the mist from the waterfall comes from. And on the dark side of the tree, the lee of the waterfall, so to speak, might be slightly drier and thus less hospitable for the bacteria.
You must be a scientist.
Well, I'm just guessing at observations here, right?
I think that's amazing. Okay, we're going to go up to that again and look at the backside. That's amazing. No. Yes, I love it.
Moss growing on on the, you know, the side of the tree that's shady and whatever. The circle around the tree doesn't seem to be damaged, and there are several. So, okay, this is follow up from that previous asker. So it's something, so that must be something else. Okay, Joe, you're coming with your camera. Okay.
So this is just dark bark. This is not
Okay.
black on this side. I'm not seeing it on the back side the way that I saw it on the other side. And then as we walk around to the other side, I think you nailed it.
Just guessing.
You are a naturalist.
I'm brilliant about these things, right? Is that?
If anybody ever question your naturalist ability, I think they can stop questioning it now. My goodness.
Aspen and hackberry is what the asker is commenting, is where she has seen it. So yeah,
Yep.
maybe if it's a full circle around the tree, then maybe there's moisture in all parts of the tree. In this case, we see it as sort of the cast off from the waterfall. So who knows? Make some more observations and see what you can see if there are wounds in the tree. You said there didn't seem to be damage though, the asker said. The question is, does the bacteria damage the tree in any way?
You know, I don't believe that it does. And the reason I'm saying that I don't believe is because I don't know specifically that particular bacteria. But my observations over the years is that there are certain trees that just really have a lot of it. And I'll go see that tree year after year after year, and it never seems to be harmed by it. So that's my observations. And then the other is that I have a field guide to bacteria. Seriously, there's a book called Field Guide to Bacteria. I know who would thunk it, right? But
really?
Yeah, I'll put that in my link as well in my blog post, because that book just blew my mind as well. And that there are so many different species of bacteria out here that are really beneficial. And we oftentimes think of bacteria as hurting us because those are the ones that we focus on, right? But there are far more bacteria on this planet, different types of bacteria that are totally beneficial for us, and we need them. And in fact, I was reading one point where a lot of medicine isn't necessarily about keeping the human healthy, it's about keeping the organisms in our body healthy so that then the human can be healthy, because we depend upon them. And so some medicine is there to help to keep your gut flora healthy, not the human healthy. That's a byproduct.
Interesting. Well, it would be interesting to magically know how that tree would have survived without the bacteria. Would it have been weaker? Would it have been stronger?
Right. Yeah, I
cool.
wonder if there's some sort of adaptive advantage. If it's that black part, then you would think that it would also warm up and be able to capture the sun's rays a little bit better to heat the tree up, which would then be an adaptive advantage perhaps to getting sap flowing or something. Oh my gosh, there's all kinds of research projects here.
There's always more questions. I'm going to take us back with some questions here in the Zoom, take us back to the waterfall itself about, is this waterfall receding and how would one know?
Oh, yeah. So the way that I understand rhyolite is that it's very columnar, and that there be these big columns that go generally up and down, and that as they start to get eroded, what will happen is that the freeze-thaw cycle will be on the backside, and it'll push it off, and then it falls in. And so it's tending to erode in big chunks falling off. And that if you look at the map, the geology map, you'll see that this particular place right here, the current bedrock geology map, shows that this flow is much wider on both sides of the waterfall, but it's narrower here. And it's narrower in a way that gives me the impression that this is totally eroded away. So it totally makes sense, yeah. And so it's slowly moving back. Now, slow, I don't know how many years it's been working at it, right? Well, 10,000 years, right? It's been working at it for 10,000 years since the glaciers left. Duh, Joe. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know how fast that is around here, though. And with this kind of rock, I think that it would take several lifetimes to be able to see it moving.
So it was at one time, it was up closer to Lake Superior, and that over those 10,000 years, it breaks off columns and eventually has worked its way backwards up inland. Yeah.
Well, so I think that your story, your story in general is sort of true, but I don't know that it literally was out at Lake Superior and has moved back. I think it's been a shorter distance.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's been shorter. We'll have to look at the maps a little bit closer and interpret that and talk to some geology people.
So does this river have smelt? And when do they run? They run in spring, right?
That is so fun. That is so fun. Yeah, I remember when I first moved up here in 1988. The spring of '89. Then it was smelt everywhere, and it was crazy. People with big trash can bins, and they were going along the rivers at the mouths of the river, and so it was always the Lake Superior into the river mouth. So it wouldn't have been up here. That there are waterfalls even before this that would have stopped the smelt. They couldn't have gone up, but the mouth. And yes, the Baptism River was a place for that. But the population of smelt has gone down. So here's where I'm entering into a little world that I don't completely know. But I believe that what it is that the population of smelt has gone down because we've not reintroduced, but we've introduced different trout species into the lake, different salmonid species that eat smelt. And so those populations of smelt now support the salmonid species, and that I don't think that people are able to go smelting nearly as much as they used to. I mean, I think about like in that spring of '89, I went down to Beaver Bay, down to the Green Door, of course, and we had smelt fry, and oh my gosh, it was all you could eat. It was crazy how much there was. I don't think they've done a smelt fry at the Green Door in many years. Huh. Yeah, got to check on that one too.
They need Amy Rager to show up in her prom dress. Apparently that's the legend, that it was smelting time during prom season. And so Amy's like, I'm not missing that. So they prom dress, which I believe would have been 1980 something. I'm not
87. And it is true. You cannot miss these monumental experiences.
for dumb old prom. You can't. Gosh. Wait. So okay, so how far inland are you at those falls there, Joe?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
A little ways, a long ways, a mile, 5 miles?
Yeah, I would say that it would be 1 mile to 1.5 miles, maybe. But I'll have to look at that map again. And I didn't have a scale on those maps. I'm pretty sure that I cut the scale off so that I could have them for images. I should have left the scale on. Yeah, I think probably 1.5 miles. So here's the thing, is that as I walked in, I parked over on Highway 1 where the Superior Hiking Trail is, and I walked 1.2 miles. That's what the sign told me, 1.2 miles. But that's sideways along the shoreline. But I think it's also about 1.2 miles from park headquarters to here. So yeah, I think it's about 1 mile or so in. Yeah, it's beautiful hike. There are other waterfalls along the way as you come in from park headquarters. There's Two-Step Falls, and then I think there's Cascade. I'm trying to remember the name of the other falls. I can't remember right now. And then Ilgen Falls is a little bit further in there, closer to where I live as well. All the waterfalls are beautiful.
So they're like steps down to the lake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they're the perfect spots to spend a summer, right? You come here on a summer and there's 4 or 5 people floating around right underneath where the waterfall is. Oh man, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Nice. Nice. Just checking for anything else. Do these falls diminish through the summer? Yeah, talk about the yearly cycle of this waterfall.
Right. So the West Branch and the East Branch, those two feed the Baptism River proper. Turns out that the West Branch is fed by sphagnum bogs up there. And so that is able to retain a lot of moisture, and it slowly gives off moisture all summer. And so that branch tends to have more consistent flow than the East Branch does. The East Branch is just fed by its watershed. Just when it rains, then it fills up, and when it doesn't rain, it just sort of sits there, right? And so the East Branch will almost dry out at times, whereas the West Branch will keep sort of flowing. So this part of the river has a consistent sort of a flow because of that. But yeah, that's really interesting. There are certain parts of the Baptism River that will like dry up completely, and it's like the fish must go to one little spot there, and all the crayfish are hanging out there, and who knows what else, and they're all just waiting for the river to expand again. So it's like a feast or famine sort of a river for them. Absolutely. But the main branch here, going all the way out to Lake Superior, always has water flowing through it. A lot right now. Yeah. And all of the North Shore rivers have qualities like that. They've each got their own personality based on what it is that's feeding them as to whether they dry up completely or not. Yeah.
Here we have a Facebook question. Is this the river that has the disappearing stream down the hole?
It's not. That one is the river that's way up further towards the Canadian border. And you know what? My brain, I think I got COVID brain, because all of a sudden the name of the river just poofed out of my brain.
Maybe someone else can think of it and post it for us. I know that happens kind of common, like down here in southeastern Minnesota, where we have the karst geology, where there's enough cracks and crevices between the rocks underground that rivers can disappear and reappear all over the place. Is it the Cascade, someone asked?
It's not the Cascade. It's further north up. Oh my gosh, somebody's going to say it. We're going to go, of course. But it's part of one of the state parks that's up there. And it's just beyond my normal reach. And that's why it's not stuck firmly in my brain right now. It's called Devil's Kettle. And that what I understand is that there have been researchers who have put stuff into it. It's not the Grand Port. It's not that river either.
Is that the Judge Magny Park? Is it Brule, Caribou?
It's the Brule.
It's the Brule. Amy, we
Amy
need you. Thanks for being here.
I can be a naturalist too. I got a name tag as well.
Woohoo! Yeah, and they put stuff into that Devil's Kettle to see where it pops up, and I don't think that they've ever found where it pops up. Maybe it's still down there.
Yeah, its retention time must be longer than any human attention span. Any grant period that limits the research. Yeah. Good. Well, we have 17 people still watching on Facebook, and we've got another 10 here in Zoom. So
I'm wondering about the time and our connection.
Okay.
I kind of want to walk up there. And it'll take me probably about 7 minutes walking, and we'll go up here and all the way around. If we've got 7 minutes or more, are you with me?
Hey man, I'm not the one who's going to slip and fall and break my neck on the rocks, so I'm good. You take us right along. I think briefly had some low bandwidth, but now it's back to normal. So
okay, well,
no hazard. So if we lose you, we lose you.
Part of why I selected this spot is I knew that we would have a decent connection here. Yeah. I believe we've got a decent connection way up there. But as I go through the woods here, we may lose me for a little bit. If so, okay. I'm coming right back once I get up there. Okay.
Okay, we'll stay on.
Excellent.
I have some votes for walking in the chat.
We're going for a walk. And
tell us what you see.
There's a bridge up there as well, which is sort of fun. And if you haven't seen the bridge, it's fun to go across it. Let me grab my backpack and we're going to start walking.
Okay, maybe Joe will meet some additional friends along the way. We can broadcast random strangers. Okay. Proteinaceous foam right there. And it's in streaks, which really suggests how the currents are flowing. I find that interesting too. Okay, picking up we're on a tripod, so take us along.
Yep, tripod and tripod.
Right.
And then what I'm going to do is make it so you don't have to look at me. Hey,
oh, you're going to climb some steps. Okay. Hop 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 upstairs. We'll have a moment of appreciation for all the laborers who built these improvements to our state parks. It must be a CCM crew, Conservation Corps Minnesota crew, maybe. Show us any vegetation. What's the forest community like where you are? Yeah, okay. It's still spring. It's pretty early for you guys. You have recently had snow, more recent there than here anyway.
Yeah. Oh, hey, check this out.
Falls bottom 83 stairs down.
There you go. So let's look at the map for a little bit too.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's High Falls, two-step
Yeah.
Cascade, and then Ilgen Falls right there.
Uh-huh.
All those falls. And as we step
Nice.
back, that's the state park.
It's a nice
If you haven't
big
been,
one.
Chattahoochee State Park is just gorgeous. There's so much diversity here. Yeah, there's a lot of wood that they carry back here for this, isn't it?
Right. Yep. A lot of big heavy lumber, and they had to pound it into place, shoveling and whatnot. You have to climb all these stairs. I'm feeling out of breath for you.
So
But I think, oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You were going to say something.
Well, I was going to say, I think the forest will look a little different. From now is our Gathering Partners in-person field trips. So I'll have a half a commercial for that. If anybody's interested in seeing the North Woods in person with Joe himself, Joe is offering some field trips during the Gathering Partners conference coming up. So I think the web address gatheringpartners.umn.edu. If I'm wrong, Amy's going to correct me in the chat, hopefully. And there'll be information about those sessions. There will be some online sessions for those who don't wish to travel. But if you happen to be up north or you are willing to travel there, please do and sign up for some field trips. We've got a number of just really great speakers lined up to talk about a whole host of topics. All the field trips will be in small pods. Everyone will be required to wear a mask and to, maintain social distancing. And so we'll be doing it all COVID safe, and see the North Woods in person with an expert guide. I asked you, that is pretty fun. So do sign up for one of those if you wish. And so you have reached the top of the hill. Now you're going down a little bit over the crest.
I'm impressed. We stay connected the entire time.
Nice.
All right.
Okay, what do we got? Going off trail. Oh, hello.
So can you hear me, Andrea?
I can, yeah.
I can see your face, meaning that you must be able to, but I can't hear you. So I'm just gonna riff for just a moment. Notice that tea color to it. That's all the tannins that are from the mosses, from, like I said, the West Branch is fed by wetlands, and that other plants as well. And that's really common along our North Shore streams, is that they'll have a lot of tannins in it. And I'm looking down below, and I doubt that you can see the detail, but there's trees floating around down at the bottom in circles over there on the far side. Can you actually see them?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And so the story is that there was one person who ran his kayak over this. Yeah. He was our dentist in Silver Bay. Yeah. And he was quite a crazy kayaker. And he ran it over more than once. It wasn't an accident. He was doing it on purpose.
Oh my God. And he lived to tell the tale.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to walk a little bit further up.
Okay. How high is this falls, do you know?
Oh my gosh. If somebody were to look in the state park, hey, put Amy on that. Goodness gracious.
Somebody Google that thing.
100 feet? I'm guessing between 80 and 100 feet. What is it, Amy?
She's working it.
$100.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All right. So according to the sign, only 4 more people can join me. That's it. And
Okay, some of you will have to log off so that Joe can keep his safe maximum.
Got a lot of people on this. Let's see if we can do it.
Try not to jump.
Yeah, okay. Aha. And this is our bridge. I'm going to walk across here.
Whoa. Okay, wow.
I haven't made anybody seasick yet, have I?
Keep working.
Are you getting wet, Joe?
Joe, are you getting wet?
Oh, it's snowing on me. Yeah, but not because of the spray. Hey, there's one more point I'd love to take you if you've got a little bit of time.
Well, we're scheduled to go until 2:15, so I'm good. If people need to go, we certainly understand that. So feel free if you need to drop off, you're welcome to, but I'm going to stay here and watch where Joe's going.
Excellent. Oh, here, I got to pause for a second. Sorry for... That just looks so cool. It just dips
Wow.
right over the edge. Oh my gosh.
Love it.
Wow. So much water. All right, so this is going to take me about 1 more minute unless I stop for things like that. Ah, erosion. Here we go. This little creek is completely filled in, huh? Holy smokes. Every creek around here is just bulging. Oh. All right, more steps. Yeah, Andrea, I was able to teach a geology class this morning from Palisade Head. And the whole time I was thinking about our meeting in May and the different things that I hope to be able to show people while up there in Palisade Head. So I'm excited about that.
Andrea, do you want to tell people who Joe is again? We've gotten a request in the chat. And oddly enough, I can't comment again on Facebook. I don't know if I'm allowed one and I've used it. So do you just want to tell people who Joe is? People are asking.
Yeah, and somebody's going to remind me how to spotlight the speaker too, so that it doesn't switch me every time I talk. Maybe put that in the chat one way or the other. But if you double click on Joe's icon, you can pin him to your screen. So everyone, we are having a Trail Tuesday live event here with Joe Walewski of Wolf Ridge Environmental Learning Center. He is at High Falls on the Baptism River at Tetagooch State Park. We've been talking about a little bit about the geology of waterfalls, also the seasonal phenology, the green things that grow in that area, a little bit about the aquatics, we learned about proteinaceous foam, that's your vocabulary for the day, and how North Shore rivers function a little bit different from the other rivers in other parts of the state. And so now he has walked up the side of the falls and crossed over the bridge, and now we are looking at the other side, and it's 100 feet tall. That is pretty impressive. Yeah, so again, the Brule River and Tetagooch State Park, very good. So Brule River is the one that's a little bit further north of here that has the disappearing river at the Devil's Kettle geologic feature.
right, here we go. There's my selfie, right?
That's perfect. Wait, wait, wait. Everybody smile. We'll take a quick screenshot. Okay, I think I got it.
Very nice. Good deal. Now I'm all confused with all my technology here. What a
Okay.
gorgeous, huh?
I think my face was funny in that one, but that's all right. Keep going.
What a gorgeous river.
So lovely. And you know, it's so green there compared to here. Every single thing is brown. We have very few evergreens down here in southern Minnesota. So I'm appreciating just the higher percentage of the evergreen trees, which keep it looking green. I love the spotlights of white that are the aspens and the birches, the lighter colors, and then all the firs and such that keep it green.
Woo! There we go.
Nice.
So here we are still at the Baptism River, looking at the high falls, exploring all of that, as Andrea had said. And the ecology of this area is affected by all of that spray, all that mist. And so the variety of trees that are around here are typical Northwoods trees, but right next to the waterfalls, there'll be more cedars and a variety of other different things. Plants will grow just a little bit different because of that. And so today what I wanted to do is I wanted to share the ecology of waterfalls and how that mist affects the different types of things growing here. I wanted to touch on the geology and why is the waterfalls here? And then also the way that we started the entire thing, which I think was a great way to start, is just that kind of meditation aspect, being around waterfalls. That again, the things that really draw me, that just close everything down. As soon as I'm around the waterfall or a campfire, everything just slows down. I'm curious, before we end up leaving, Andrea, what does that to you? For me, it's waterfalls and a fire.
I would be interested to have everyone put a comment in the chat. What are some things that help you slow down, breathe, take in, and appreciate? I love a scenic overlook. I'm a big fan of a scenic overlook. Breeze the leaves is another favorite for me. And I do love a waterfall. I find them very energizing to the point of being unsettling sometimes, very stirring. So that, which is good, but maybe not the slowing down aspect I might also wish for. Some are commenting on the darkness of a night sky. Other people are saying flowering prairies, rushing rivers, lying down in a hammock or bed or looking at the trees. Yep. I love to be down low and looking up at leaves over my head. That just feels so peaceful and encompassing. Shores of Lake Superior.
Oh, yeah.
And just the scenery where you are right now is lovely. Well, as we wrap this up, I want to remind folks that this Facebook Live event is recorded, and so we'll be on our Facebook page if you want to go back and rewatch things. If you want to watch it from the beginning, share it with friends, all of that is welcome. And so we are having a few more comments coming in, seeing any insects, a walk through the woods, reflection of the sunset on a still lake, a late afternoon warmth of sun. Oh, that could be forever. The sound of falling or bubbling brooks, camping in my tent along Lake Superior, waking up to see the sunrise, all kinds of ways that we find solace in nature. And hopefully there's something in nature for everyone is the idea.
Yeah. My mom, who currently lives down in Dallas, Texas now, she was telling me about the fact that cicadas are having their big, their big year. But she grew up in Michigan, and she was talking about cicadas the way that I would talk about a campfire or waterfalls, and the way we were all talking about these things. Just the sound of cicadas, but just did that to my mom. It just everything shut down, and she just went into herself, and so some kind of positive memory. And so, yeah. And Andrea, I think you already said it. I may have missed it because of the noise around here, but I hope that people find that for themselves, especially in some of these troubling times, right? Especially in troubling times, anytime that we can do that we can find that solace in nature. I think about Sigurd Olsson's writings, and I think about just reading some of his chapters and how they do that for me. Other chapters, not so much. But the point is that some of it, poetry may work for some people. Whatever it is, I happen to find my center someplace in nature, and I hope that those of you who are joining us find that as well, and you get out and go find it. Go find it, and share it with others. That's why we're coming together, right, Andrea, to be able to share it with others. So I hope that you're able to share it with others as well.
Great. Everyone should have their own listening point, whether it's on a rock looking at a waterfall or a sunset, or even in some quiet, peaceful place in your own world, wherever you can find that listening point. Listen to your heart, listen to your community, listen to the natural world, and find what good there is to be had there. So thank you so much. I'm getting some thank you comments in our stream, our Zoom chats. And so thanking you for the hike and for the learning and for the interest, the education and calmingness all around. So that's great. We'll all look forward to the next one, again, May 11th. And that time we will feature Lake Superior itself. So don't miss that. We will